The killing fields are an area in South Texas where many unidentified serial killers disposed of their victims. For Friendswood, a community near those fields, their horror began with the disappearance of a 12-year-old girl. Here's the story of Laura Smither, the tiny dancer, in today's True Crime Chronicles.
Everyone who knew Laura loved Laura. Her love was immediately with ballet.
On a gray and drizzling morning in April 1997, Laura Smither decides to go for a jog.
She had just gotten into the Houston Ballet Academy, and hundreds and hundreds of girls audition every year. She got in. Laura had just finished reading a book that had inspired her to start running, so she asked permission to go out for this run, and she had never, ever done that. That was the very first time.
Laura waves goodbye to her parents and promises to be home in time for breakfast. But as the minutes turn to hours, breakfast becomes cold on their plates.
And that's my life sentence. I have to live with that every day, because I gave her permission to go out running, and she didn't come home.
Her parents call the police.
We knew right away that something wasn't right.
Authorities begin a frantic search for Laura, fearing she has been abducted. More than 6,000 volunteers begin searching over 800 square miles.
Laura Kate Smither is described as 5'3", weighing 98 pounds, with long, dark brown curly hair and braces. The search is by air, by foot, and even by horseback. It seems as if the whole town is taking part.
As the hours turn to days, the days become weeks. Police find no trace of Laura, but her parents refuse to let go of the hope that she will find her way home.
She's coming home, and if she's out there and she can hear us, Laura, you find a way to find us and we will find you.
It's become a cliche that missing child is the worst nightmare, but it really is. When you have a child and you don't know where they are, and you have that momentary panic. I think every parent has at one point or time has experienced that and can relate to that. We'll take that experience and multiply it by 1,000.
Okay, about 3:45 today, we got a call from a man who was out here with his dog. He was out here training the dog for retrieval. He and his son, and the dog apparently found his body.
17 days after her abduction, Laura's remains are discovered.
It is the opinion of my department and its investigators and myself as its chief that the young woman found off Beltway 8 is Laura Kate Smither.
Investigators find little evidence, having been eroded by time and the elements, but they do determine that Laura was likely strangled. Little progress is made in Laura's case as investigators race to find the killer.
Quite a few months later, one of the reporters did an expose of all the missing girls. We had no idea that so many girls had gone missing in our area.
No one has a clue who could be responsible. They only know young women are vanishing. A serial killer is on the loose. However, when 19-year-old Sandra Sepaw is abducted at knife point, she astonishingly escapes. She identifies her abductor to police. William Reece, a part-time construction worker, is arrested for the kidnapping and rape of Sandra Sepaw. He becomes a person of interest in Laura's murder shortly after. Nonetheless, investigators fail to definitively connect Reece to any of the other murders in Friendswood, including Laura's, and her case goes cold.
William Reece was sentenced to 60 years in prison for the rape and abduction of Sandra Sepaw in 1998. 18 years later, he finally confessed to Laura's murder and even led investigators to the missing bodies of other victims. He is currently on death row awaiting execution for the murder of an Oklahoma woman. But the wounds he left on the Friendswood community and Laura's family cut deeper. Earlier, we invited Laura's mom to talk with us about her daughter. Here's what she had to say.
Okay, thank you so much for being here. Let's start with what's important, and that's Laura. How would you like us to remember Laura?
just that she was an extraordinary human being whose life was cut short by someone who had so little to contribute. And he took somebody's life who Laura had so much to contribute to the world, and she's not here to give all the gifts that she had to give.
Well, you went to Oklahoma for the trial of William Reece. So what was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was brutal. Obviously, it reopened old wounds that, there's no such thing as closure. That's a made-up media word. There's no closure on love. So the best you get is a really thick scab. And for years, you live with that scab and you're okay. And every now and then you knock the scab and you bleed, and that's what it was like. I was bleeding again.
I wanted to ask, you said you forgive Reece. How? How are you able to?
My journey to forgiveness was through the sacrament of reconciliation, which my church offers. It's known more commonly as confession. Forgiveness is really for me. I forgive Reece, but it took me out of the angst and the terrible cage that I was in. It doesn't mean I condone or will ever forget, but it allows me to live in a more normal state.
Can you just tell us a little bit about your husband and how he's dealing with it all?
Bob definitely went inside, and he does not have a faith to cling to like I do. My faith is what got me through. I don't know, to be honest, how he does it, but he always says he goes to the Church of Brazos Bend State Park. He loves that park, and he communes with nature, and he releases his pain in that way. But it's a longer journey for him.
Thank you so much for talking with us, for personalizing this, for humanizing Laura. Your family will be in our thoughts and prayers. And for everyone watching at home, if you want to hear more about Laura, we covered her story and many others on our True Crime Chronicles podcast, available on any podcast player. Thank you again, Gay. We are thinking of Laura. We'll be right back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.